An anonymous video exposed my family's plan. I canceled the party, took a plane ticket, and disappeared. When my mom wrote, "Where are you?" I replied, "Away from my toxic family," and sent her the video. They were shocked and started calling me nonstop. It's 4 in the afternoon, and my house looks like a cookbook and balloon bomb went off. I, Meredith Colwell, normally a responsible customer service manager, have turned into a crazy hostess trying to throw the perfect party for my promotion. After 5 years of invisible work, my time has finally come. I'm the head of customer service at Brightwood Solutions. It's a moment worth celebrating, even if I have to organize it myself. Will everyone like it? I mutter under my breath, looking at the little salmon sandwiches I just made. Noah said he would only arrive an hour before the party starts, because he has things to do at the office. Mom promised to come help, but of course she's running late. Dad doesn't see the point of helping in the kitchen at all, and my sister Kelsey, well, she's never considered my accomplishments worth her precious time. My phone beeped. I wiped my hands on a towel and looked at the screen, expecting to see another excuse from my mom. Instead, I got a message from an unknown number. "Meredith, you need to see this. I'm sorry, but you deserve to know the truth." The message was attached to a video. My eyebrows rose in surprise. Spam? A mistake? I hesitated, but curiosity won out. I clicked on the file. The video was filmed as if secretly, from the corner of a coffee shop. The quality was poor, but the voices were clear. And those voices, my heart skipped a beat. Mom, Dad, Kelsey, and Noah? They were sitting at a table, cups of coffee in front of them, talking. "This new position of hers is a problem." My father, Harrison, sounded annoyed. "She's going to start thinking she can make her own decisions." "Don't worry, Daddy," Kelsey laughed. "Meredith can always be persuaded. She's our little pleaser." The video lasted 2 minutes and 36 seconds, the longest 2 minutes and 36 seconds of my life. My closest people, my family, and my fiancé were discussing how to keep me under control after the promotion. How to use my softness, my need for approval, my eternal insecurity. "You know, Meredith believes this party is her idea," giggled my mother, Vivian. "And I've been hinting for 3 weeks that it would be appropriate. The main thing is that she doesn't decide to transfer part of her salary to a separate account," said Noah, my fiancé, the man with whom I plan to share my life. "We agreed to buy a house next year." "The house you picked near us." My father nodded in approval. They all laughed, and Kelsey added, "Poor Mary, she thinks she's finally in control of her life." The video ended, and I froze with my phone in my hand. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My ears were ringing, and black dots were appearing in front of my eyes. I took a step back and hit the kitchen table. The salmon sandwiches fell to the floor. I should have been crying. I should have screamed. I should have felt something. But there was only emptiness and coldness inside, as if my body knew that there would be too much pain and just turned off all my senses. "It's true," I whispered in the empty kitchen. Every word, every laugh, everything suddenly made sense. The little comments, the unsolicited advice, the accidental meetings between my parents and Noah. Years of Kelsey's condescending smiles. I saw a picture that they had been painting together for years, and I was just a brush in their hands. I looked at my watch. It was 5 o'clock. The guests were supposed to arrive at 7. I glanced at my reflection in the glass wardrobe door. The pale pink dress my mom had picked out, the hairstyle Kelsey had approved, the makeup Noah liked. A strange woman in a strange life. Something clicked inside. The decision came instantly, without doubt or hesitation. I pulled out my phone and wrote a collective message to all the invitees. "The party has been canceled due to personal circumstances. Sorry for the inconvenience." Then I went to the bedroom, took out my suitcase, and started throwing things in it. Underwear, jeans, t-shirts, a warm sweater, a toothbrush. No dresses, no heels. Nothing that resembled the Meredith they had created. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew that I had to disappear. I opened my laptop and went to the airline's website. The next flight was to Portland in 2 hours. Not ideal, but it would do. A place where no one knows me, where I could start over. I ordered a taxi, closed my suitcase, and looked around the apartment. 5 years of living with Noah within these walls. Photos on the shelves, happy faces, fake smiles. Party balloons swayed in the gentle breeze from the air conditioner. Festive appetizers were waiting for guests who would never come. Noah has the keys. Let him deal with all this. I grabbed my purse, checked for my passport, wallet, and phone. I took one last look at the apartment and closed the door behind me. In the taxi to the airport, I checked my bank account. It was enough for a new beginning. Not luxury, but freedom. My phone started ringing as I was checking in. Noah. I rejected the call. Another call, this time from my mom. I also rejected it. I sat in the waiting area, watching the scoreboard. Another hour before boarding. The phone rang again. My dad. I rejected it. Then Kelsey. I dismissed it. The messages poured in one after another. Noah. Where are you? I arrived and the apartment is empty. What's going on? Mom. Honey, why did you cancel the party? We're on our way. Dad. Meredith, call me back right away. Kelsey. The drama queen is back in action? Really, Mary? And then my mom again. Meredith, where are you? We're worried. I would look at these messages and feel something breaking inside. The last vestiges of that obedient, compliant girl who had always put their needs before hers. Instead, a new Meredith was being born, the one who knows the truth. She typed a reply to her mom, "Get away from the toxic family," and added a video. The phone immediately rang. I turned it off and put it in my purse. My flight was announced. While the plane was climbing, I looked out the window at the shrinking city below, the city where my old life remained. I didn't know what lay ahead, but I knew one thing. I would never be someone else's paintbrush again. Somewhere above Nevada, my phone vibrated in my purse. I knew without looking that it was my mom again. This time, I decided to answer it, one short sentence that drew a line under my past life. The Pine Grove Motel on the outskirts of Portland didn't look like a five-star hotel, but I wasn't in the mood for luxury. I threw my suitcase on the floor and fell onto the bed, which responded with a squeaky spring. The room was small, a bed, a nightstand, a table with a chair, and a TV that seemed to remember the early 2000s. But most importantly, there was no one from my family here. My family. These people who were supposed to love and support me. Instead, they had created a perfect doll named Meredith, who did everything according to their instructions. I got up and went to the window. It was raining outside, drops running down the glass, blurring the neon motel sign. In this blurry light, I suddenly saw my whole life clearly. It seems I have always been a good girl. Meredith helping her mom in the kitchen while Kelsey works on her projects. Meredith who never argues with her father, even when he's wrong. Meredith who always agrees with Kelsey to avoid conflict. Was there ever a time when I did something for myself and not for them? College. I wanted to study photography, but my father said it was a hobby, not a profession. He insisted on business administration, and I agreed. "It's for your future, Mary," he said, and I believed him. When I was 12, I won a photography contest at school. I remember running home, clutching the certificate to show my parents. My mom glanced at it and went back to her phone, and my dad grumbled something about meaningless entertainment. But when Kelsey received the award for her participation in the debate, they had a celebratory dinner. Kelsey is my sister, 2 years older. Ambitious, confident, sharp-tongued. She is a favorite of her parents, especially her dad. She studied law, worked in a prestigious firm, and dated the right men. I never envied her. I just wanted the same approval from my parents. Why can't you be more decisive like Kelsey? Look how Kelsey knows how to defend her opinion. Kelsey knows exactly what she wants from life. These phrases haunted me throughout my childhood. I wiped the foggy window and saw my reflection. A woman of 32 with tired eyes and a nervous smile. Who is this woman? Do I know her? My father, Harrison Colwell, is a financial consultant with a reputation as a tough negotiator. At home, he was the same way. He controlled every aspect of our lives. Schedules, friends, clothes, everything was subject to his scrutiny. He would argue with Kelsey, but with me, he just gave orders. And I obeyed. My mother, Vivian, was different. Her control was subtle, wrapped in care. Honey, are you sure you want to wear that dress? It makes you look so wide. Mary, dear, maybe you're not ready for this position. It's so much responsibility. Her concern was slowly destroying my confidence. I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out my phone. 42 missed calls and 37 messages. I turned it off again. And then there was Noah. We met at a corporate event 5 years ago. He worked in sales and I worked in customer service. My parents immediately approved of him, ambitious, from a good family, with plans for the future. Kelsey said he was way out of my league, and I felt lucky that he chose me. But now, looking through the prism of that video, I saw all the signs. How he helped me choose a new wardrobe by throwing away my favorite jeans and t-shirts. How he insisted that I turn down a promotion 2 years ago because it would take too much time away from our relationship. How he made fun of my dream of photography every time. My phone vibrated, an email message. I opened it, expecting to see something from my family. Instead, it was a motel reservation confirmation for a week. I didn't even remember doing it, but obviously a part of me knew I wouldn't be back anytime soon. I thought about work. My promotion was supposed to be the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to finally prove myself. I had worked for it for 5 years, overtime, additional projects, constant training. Noah and my parents considered it a phase that would pass when I finally focused on starting a family. I took a deep breath and remembered the day I found out about the promotion. I came home, beaming with happiness, and told Noah. He smiled, hugged me, and said, "That's great, honey. A little more money for our future home." He didn't congratulate me on my achievement, didn't ask me about my plans for my new position. He just counted the money. It was the same story at work. I always took the most difficult clients to make life easier for my colleagues. I stayed late to finish reports for others. I never asked for recognition or compensation. I just helped. Although my bosses appreciated my work, my colleagues took it for granted. Friendships were also one-sided. My best friend from college, Tiffany, only came to me when she needed help with rent or a shoulder to cry on after another breakup. When I was going through a crisis last year and asked her to come over, she said she was too busy. Even in high school, I was the one who did projects for the whole group, the one whose notes everyone borrowed before exams, the one who never complains, always smiles and agrees. I took my pajamas out of my suitcase and started unpacking. Each thing reminded me of someone else. The sweater my mom had chosen, the jeans that Noah had approved, a scarf from Kelsey with the comment, "Finally something stylish in your wardrobe." The only thing that was truly mine was a small camera that I bought for my 25th birthday. I hid it from Noah and my parents, taking pictures in my free time. Those photos were the only place I could be myself. Suddenly, I felt dizzy. I sat down on the bed, feeling the whole world changing shape around me. My whole life was built on the desire to please others. Every decision, every choice, every smile, everything was for someone else. I lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. One question was running through my mind. Who am I really? What do I want, not them? And for the first time in many years, I didn't know the answer. Because I don't think I ever asked myself this question. I just did what was expected of me. I was a good daughter, an obedient bride, a reliable colleague, a reliable friend. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Not from sadness for my lost family or relationships, but from realizing how many years I had lost living someone else's life. How many times I said yes when I wanted to say no. How many of my dreams I buried under a layer of other people's expectations. Outside, the rain drummed on the motel roof. As a child, I loved listening to it by the window with a book, until Dad snapped, "Meredith, stop wasting time. Do something useful." After that, I only listened when no one was home. I got up, made tea, and sat by the window. Rain in a strange city where no one knows me. No roles, no masks, no expectations. My phone vibrated. A message from Noah. "Mary, don't be a child. Come home, we'll work it out. We always do." Noah decides, and I obey. Dad directs, I follow. Mom criticizes, I change. Kelsey mocks, I stay silent. But not this time. I put my phone down, screen down, and went back to my tea in the rain. I may not have known who the real Meredith Colwell was yet, but I knew exactly who she would no longer be. My lonely lull did not last long. It was 3 in the morning local time, and my phone rang again. I sat up on the bed, shivering, either from the cold or from fear. For so many years, I had jumped at the first call. Dad calling, Mom needing, Noah demanding, Kelsey criticizing. But now, in the half-dark room of the Pine Grove Motel, I could finally do something I had never allowed myself to do before. Not answer. But the calls kept coming. I turned on my phone and was horrified. 76 missed calls and 49 messages. I took a deep breath and started reading. Noah, 23 hours and 10 minutes. Meredith, are you kidding me? Where are you? Noah, 23 hours and 20 minutes. The video was taken out of context. We were just joking. Noah, 0 hours. Don't be dramatic. Come back and we'll talk about it. Noah, 0 hours 30 minutes. I canceled our honeymoon in Greece. This is what your childish behavior gets you. A honeymoon in Greece? We never planned a wedding, let alone a honeymoon. Noah always said that it's not time yet. I wonder what other future he had planned without me. The messages from my father were short and sharp. Call me back immediately. This is unacceptable. You know you're making a mistake. As usual, my mother pressed me with guilt. How could you do this to us? After all we've done for you. I was up all night worrying about you. Dad got sick because of what you did. Kelsey was just making fun of me. The drama queen at it again. Classic Meredith. Do you have any idea how childish this is? Running away from your problems instead of facing them. Typical weak Mary. I put the phone down and went to the window. The rain had stopped, but the sky remained gray and heavy, like my heart. The phone rang again. This time I answered it. Meredith? Finally, are you okay? Kelsey's voice sounded concerned, but I could hear a hint of irritation. Yeah, I'm fine. I just want to be alone. Listen, that video. You got it all wrong. We were just joking. Joking? About how to manipulate me? How to take advantage of my kindness? Kelsey sighed in the same condescending tone she used when explaining the real world to me. Mary, you always exaggerate everything. Yes, we may have talked about how you're too kind and how we sometimes take advantage of that. But it's love. You know? We care about you. You don't always make the best decisions. You laughed at me, Kelsey. You talked about how you wanted to control my life. Oh my God, Meredith! We were talking about how to help you. You know you wouldn't have gotten that promotion without us. Dad talked to Jeffrey, your boss. Noah practiced your interview with you. I edited your resume. Without us, you'd still be a desk clerk. I felt a cold sweat trickle down my back. Dad talked to Jeffrey? About my promotion? Of course he did. Did you think you got it on your own? Be realistic, Mary. My promotion, my work, my sleepless nights working on projects. Was it all set up? Are you there? Listen, just come home. Let's forget about this nonsense. I have to go. I ended the call, feeling my heart breaking for the second time. Before I could put the phone down, it rang again. This time it was my father. Meredith Ann Colwell. His voice was icy. A full name is always a bad sign. You are getting on a plane right now and coming home. Dad, I'm a grown woman. I'm not going back. Stop this childish behavior. The boy doesn't deserve this. Dad, you all talked about me like I was a puppet. How could you do that? We were speaking as a family who cares about you. Someone has to think about your future because you're clearly not capable of it. Did you talk to my boss about my promotion? A pause. Short, but enough to confirm. I just mentioned you in conversation. Jeffrey is an old friend of mine. So I didn't get the promotion because of my abilities? Of course you did. But in this world, you need more than just abilities. You need connections, the right people. I just opened the door and you walked in. That's not true. You always said that I wasn't smart enough, not determined enough, not like Kelsey enough. And now it turns out that you used your connections to help me. Why? To make me grateful, to make me feel guilty. Don't you dare talk to me like that, my father exploded. After all your mother and I have done for you. You ungrateful girl. I ended the call and turned off the phone. My hands were shaking. All this time, I thought that my achievements were my own, small victories that I had won on my own. But it turns out that even they were controlled episodes in a script written by my family. I turned my phone back on. I couldn't afford to be cut off from the world in a strange city. Immediately, I received a message from my mother. Please call me. I'm not sleeping. I'm worried. She sighed and pressed the call button. Meredith? My mom's voice was trembling. Where are you? Are you okay? Yes, Mom. I'm fine. I just need some time. Honey, there's been a misunderstanding. That video? We were just talking about you because we love you. Don't you understand? Mom, you were talking about how to manipulate me, how to use my weakness. How can you justify that as love? Meredith, sometimes parents have to make decisions for their children. You've always been so sensitive, so vulnerable. We only wanted to protect you. From what? From being independent? From making your own decisions? You don't understand. The world is cruel. People use others. We wanted to make sure you were safe, with people who really cared about you. You weren't protecting me. You were controlling me. There's a difference. Don't say that. I am your mother. I was up all night imagining what could have happened to you. Dad almost called the police. Do you have any idea what you are doing to us? And again, it's the shifting of blame. I did something terrible to them, not they to me. I'm sorry you were worried, but I have a right to my own life. Of course you do, dear. Come home and we'll talk about it. We'll find a way to make you feel more independent. This isn't about feelings, Mom. This is about reality. I need time to think about it. After talking to my mom, I decided to go outside for some fresh air. The motel was located near a small forest, and I walked along a path between the trees. I left my phone in the room. I needed a moment of silence. When I returned, my phone was flashing new messages. This time, it was from Noah. He offered to talk like adults. I took a deep breath and dialed his number. Mary! Finally! You scared me to death. Noah, I saw the video. I heard what you all said. Look, it's just talk. People say things. You don't have to take it so seriously. You were talking about how to control me, Noah. You talked about my money, about a house I didn't choose. God, Mary, it's called planning. Of course I'm thinking about our future. Someone has to do it. Without me? Without my input? You would only complicate things. You always hesitate, always doubt. I just wanted to make your life easier. Make my life easier or control me? What's the difference? The result is the same. You get what you need. What you think I need. Listen, come home. I forgive you for everything. Let's forget about this stupidity. You forgive? For me? Yes. I'm not angry. Even though you canceled the party, disappeared without warning, and made me look like an idiot in front of everyone. But I understand that you were upset. Noah, I'm not going back. Don't be silly. Of course you're going back. Where would you go? Without me? Without your family? You can't even open a bank account without my help. What? Oh, you know how you are with paperwork? Remember how I helped you with your lease? With your tax return? You are helpless in these matters, dear. I remembered how I always handed over all the financial documents to Noah, how he helped me with my banking, how he insisted that we have a joint account, for convenience. I can handle this on my own, Noah. Listen, I booked a flight to Portland tomorrow. We'll talk in person. What? No, I don't want to. I've already made up my mind. Your parents are coming too. We're all worried about you. Noah, don't you dare. I'll see you tomorrow, honey. He hung up, and I stood there looking at the phone in horror. They were coming here, all of them, to bring me home? I left the room, needing some fresh air. A middle-aged woman with short gray hair and penetrating eyes stood at the front desk, her name tag reading, Darby, receptionist. Rough day? She asked, nodding at my phone, which I still clutched in my hand. You could say that, I sighed. Family problems? I looked at her in surprise. I have 16 years of motel experience, she explained. I recognize that look. Either family problems or running from the law. And you don't look like a criminal. I smiled involuntarily. Yeah, family. They control me all the time. And I just realized it now. And you ran away? Yes. Good for you, Darby nodded. Sometimes running away is the only way to save yourself. But they're coming here, tomorrow, to take me back. Darby raised an eyebrow. And you want to go back? No. No, I don't. Then don't go back, she said simply, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. You're a grown woman. They can't make you. But they're my family. And my fiancé. So what? Does that give them the right to control your life? No buts. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. But it's up to you. I looked at this woman in amazement. Such simple words, but they made their way through years of doubt and uncertainty. Thank you, I finally said. Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You have already taken the hardest step. When I returned to my room, I saw a new message from an unknown number. Meredith, it's Lance from the IT department. I sent you that video. Can we talk? Lance, a tall, skinny guy who always blushed when I walked into their department. I called him. Meredith? Are you okay? He sounded concerned. Yes, Lance. But why did you send me that video? I happened to hear them in the cafe across the street from the office. I was sitting at the next table. I wasn't going to record it at first, but when I heard them talking about you, it was wrong, Meredith. The way they were planning to control you. I couldn't just ignore it. Thank you. Even though it ruined my life, I guess it was worth it. I've always noticed how kind you are, how you always help others, and how sometimes people take advantage of you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you in person. It's okay, Lance. You did the right thing. Do they know it was me? No, don't worry. I won't tell anyone. We talked some more. It turned out that Lance was also a nice guy who often let others take advantage of him. We hit it off, and talking to him was a breath of fresh air after the suffocating calls from my family. After the conversation, I went to the airline's website. Noah said they were flying in tomorrow. That means I have until morning to decide whether to meet them or run away again. And then I remembered Darby's words. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. But it's up to you, by myself. What a strange, unusual feeling to make a decision on my own, without anyone else's opinion, without anyone else's approval. I went to the window and looked at Portland at night. A city of lights and strangers. A city where no one knows the good girl Meredith Colwell. Where I could be anyone. The phone vibrated again. A message from Noah. Our flight is at 10 in the morning. Meet us at the motel. We'll get it all sorted out. I clutched the phone, feeling my resolve grow inside. Tomorrow they would fly to Portland to take me home. But for the first time in years, I knew I would be doing what I wanted, not what they wanted. I woke up at 6 in the morning, long before they arrived. My head was surprisingly clear, as if the fog that had clouded my life for years had finally cleared. I knew what I had to do. Not to run away, not to hide, but to meet them one last time as the old Meredith. Darby brought me coffee as I sat in the small motel lobby. You ready to fight? She asked, sitting down next to me. I don't know, but I'm not going back with them. Okay, she nodded, as if we were discussing the weather and not a break with my entire past life. If things get tough, I'll be there for you. They arrived at 11 sharp. Dad, Mom, Kelsey, and Noah. 4 faces from the past that looked both so familiar and so strange. Meredith! My mom rushed to me with a hug, but stopped when she saw my eyes. Honey, we were so worried. Dad looked around the motel in disgust. Get your things together. We're going home. No, I said simply. What do you mean, no? Kelsey rolled her eyes. Enough with the drama, Mary. You made your gesture. We get it. Noah came closer, trying to take my hand. Honey, I know you're upset. But let's talk about this at home. I pulled back. I'm not going back. Don't be ridiculous. Dad used his director's tone, the same one that always made me obey. You can't live in this place. You don't get to decide where I can live. Meredith Ann Caldwell, my mom began in her I'm very disappointed voice, and something inside me broke. Years of silence, repressed desires, swallowed words, it all came out. Enough! My voice sounded louder than ever. Stop using me. Stop planning my life. Stop deciding what's best for me. They froze, shocked. I never raised my voice. I never objected. I never stood up for myself. Dad, you've always decided that I'm not smart enough, not strong enough, not Kelsey. Mom, your advice has always emphasized that I'm not good enough, not successful enough, not perfect enough. Meredith, we just wanted to, my mom began, to control me, to keep me under their thumb, to use my kindness against me. That's nonsense, Dad cut her off. We're your family. Yes, we are. But that doesn't give you the right to decide my life. Kelsey snorted. And who would be deciding it if we didn't? You'd still be waitressing at that diner after college. Maybe, but it would have been my choice. Noah took a step toward me. Mary, honey, you're emotional right now. That's normal. But you have to go back. Why? So you can continue to control my finances? So you can decide where we're going to live without asking my opinion? So that you can plan honeymoons that I know nothing about? It was supposed to be a surprise, he muttered. My life is not your surprise, Noah. I'm not a doll you can dress up and show off. Do you really believe you'll survive on your own? My dad asked mockingly. Without our support? Without Noah? Yes, I do, I answered, suddenly feeling unprecedentedly confident. And even if it's hard, it will be my life. Mine. She won't be coming back with you, Darby interjected, who had been standing silently by my side all this time. And I advise you to accept that. And who are you? My mother was indignant. A friend, Darby replied simply. A real friend. Someone who supports Meredith's choices, not tries to control them. The conversation continued for almost an hour. They moved from anger to pleading, from threats to manipulation. But I stood my ground. Finally, exhausted and angry, they gave up. You're going to regret this, my dad said as he stood up. Maybe, but it will be my choice and my regret. As their taxi drove away, I felt a strange combination of devastation and relief. It was as if I had thrown off a heavy backpack I had been carrying all my life. I'm proud of you, Darby said, sitting down next to me. You know, I have a friend who rents out a little cottage nearby. It's nothing fancy, but it's better than a motel. 3 days later, I moved into a small wooden house on the outskirts of Portland. It was old, with warped doors and creaky floors, but it was mine. Completely mine. My money was running out fast, and I found a job at a local coffee shop called Jolie Brew. The owner, Margaret, an elderly woman with sparkling eyes, hired me with no experience. People are not recognized by their resumes, but by their hearts, she said. The work was hard. Getting up early, on my feet all day, sometimes difficult clients. But for the first time in my life, I felt a strange satisfaction from my own earned money. Even the smallest bill tasted like freedom. One of the regular customers, Elliot Wilson, always came in at 10 sharp, ordered a double espresso, and sat in the corner with a sketchbook. He was an illustrator, as I found out later. He was tall, thin, with dark curly hair and a pensive look. "What do you draw?" I dared to ask him one day while serving him coffee. "Worlds that don't exist," he replied, showing me his sketchbook. There were fabulous creatures, incredible landscapes, fantastic cities. "It's amazing," I said sincerely. "Have you ever painted?" "No, but I take some pictures." "Will you show me?" I hesitated, but took out my phone and showed him some pictures I had taken in a nearby park. "You have a good eye," he said after a long look. "You catch moments that others miss." From that day on, Elliot became my friend and unofficial art mentor. He lent me a better camera, showed me the basics of composition, taught me how to see light, and most importantly, he showed me that my vision had value. "You have a unique perspective, Meredith," he once said. "Don't try to take pictures like someone else. Take pictures like you." We often talked about life. He had gone through a painful divorce 2 years ago when his wife left for his best friend. "You know what was the worst part?" he said one evening as we sat in the park. "Not the betrayal. It was the fact that I lost myself in that relationship. I tried to be what she wanted me to be." I nodded, understanding this as well as anyone. "Sometimes we are so afraid of being alone that we forget how to be ourselves," he continued. "But when you find yourself, loneliness is no longer scary." I began attending therapy, first at a free community center, then, when finances allowed, with a private psychologist, Dr. Rayner. She helped me to understand the patterns of my past, the toxic connections I had allowed. When a person grows up in an environment where their value is determined by how useful they are to others, they stop hearing their own needs, she explained, but you can learn to hear them again. Another anchor in my new life was the Pages and Tea bookstore, where I began to visit almost every day. Its owner, Thelma Ramirez, an octogenarian woman with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and a sharp mind, quickly became my mentor and friend. "Books are mirrors," she said when I asked her what to read. "They reflect ourselves. Tell me how you feel, and I'll tell you what you need to read." I told her I felt confused, uncertain about the future, afraid and hopeful at the same time. She gave me The Little Book of Calm, a diary of a woman who started a new life after losing everything in a fire. "When something ends, something always begins," Thelma said as she walked me to the door. "Just be open to a new beginning." The family continued to call and write, at first angrily, then pleadingly. I didn't block them, but I set clear boundaries. I talked to them once a week, briefly, without details. When they started to put pressure, I ended the conversation. "I don't recognize you," Kelsey said during our last conversation. "That's because you never knew the real me," I replied. "I didn't know the real me either." I mailed the ring from Noah with a short letter. "Thank you for our time together, but our paths have parted. I wish you happiness, but my happiness is separate from yours." He called me a few hours later, yelling, begging, threatening, but I remained steadfast. One evening in a coffee shop, I met Parker Montgomery. He came with a small puppy he had picked up on the street. "Can I hold him here while I have a coffee?" he asked, and my heart melted at the sight of the little trembling creature in his big hands. "If Margaret can't see, you can," I smiled. Parker turned out to be a veterinarian with his own clinic nearby. He was tall, strongly built, with kind eyes and a scar across his left eyebrow. "A gift from an angry cat," he explained later. We got to talking, and he told me that he had moved to Portland 3 years ago after his wife died of cancer. "Sometimes life takes everything from us," he said, petting the puppy, "and the only thing left is to start over." I nodded, feeling a strange connection to this man who understood the pain of loss, even if our losses were different. Over time, I started bringing my photos to Thelma's bookstore. She displayed them on the wall near the cash register, and to my surprise, a few even sold. "See? Your vision has value," she said, handing me the first money I earned from photography. I also started writing, at first just a diary, then short stories that only Thelma read. She encouraged me, gave me advice, sometimes criticized me, but always supported me. "Words are a way to know yourself," she used to say. "Write, even if no one will ever read it. Write for yourself." Every day in Portland was a step towards a new Meredith. I started wearing what I liked, not what others would approve of. I dyed my hair the colors I chose. I said no when I wanted to say no, and yes when I wanted to say yes. Parker asked me out on a real date a month after our first meeting. We went on a picnic by the river, taking with us a puppy he had adopted, which he named Chance, because everyone deserves a second chance. "Take your time," he said when I told him about my past. "Healing takes time. And it's okay to be alone until you're ready to trust someone again." His understanding and patience were so different from the pressure I had always felt from Noah. One morning, 3 months after I arrived in Portland, I received an email from Jeffrey, my former boss. "Meredith, your absence is being felt in the company. Clients are asking about you. I would like to offer you a remote position. You can work from anywhere, with a flexible schedule. Please consider this offer." I read the letter several times. It was an opportunity to return to the work I knew and loved, but on my terms. Without the daily meetings with my boss's father, without the constant family scrutiny, without Noah's pressure. I sat by the window of my small cottage, watching the rain, typical of Portland. I used to be afraid to make decisions on my own. Now I felt a strange, calm satisfaction in knowing that I could choose my own path. "What do you want, Meredith?" I asked myself out loud. And for the first time in many years, I knew that I would find the answer. My own answer. Exactly 1 year. 365 days of a new life. I stood at the window of my Portland cottage, watching the sunrise, and felt how much had changed, not only around me, but inside me. I had accomplished a lot this year. I accepted Jeffrey's offer to work remotely, but on my terms, 4 days a week, no intrusive calls outside of work hours. My photographs were now regularly exhibited in a small gallery near Thelma's bookstore, and a few were even bought for a local magazine. I published a few short stories on a literary blog that Elliot had recommended. I also hired a financial advisor, not my dad, and created my own investment plan. But most importantly, I finally started to feel real. A woman with her own desires, thoughts, and dreams. A woman who doesn't need the approval of others to feel her worth. My relationship with my family has changed. Regular calls once a week turned into short correspondence. I didn't block them, but I also didn't allow them to return to old patterns of control. "You have to come home for Christmas," my mom wrote last month. "Dad is still angry, but he misses you." And then I realized I was ready. Ready to go back. Not permanently, but to face the past on equal terms. Not as an obedient daughter, but as an adult woman who knows her worth. "I will come," I answered, "but not for Christmas. I will meet each of you individually." Parker supported my decision, although he was worried. "Are you sure you're ready?" he asked, stroking Chance, who had grown into a beautiful red dog. "I don't want you to go back to those old roles again." "I don't want to, either," I smiled. "That's why I'm going alone. To face the past on my own terms." I arrived in my hometown on a cool autumn day. I stayed at a hotel instead of my parents' house. My first small act of independence. The first thing I decided to do was to meet Kelsey. We arranged to have lunch in a small cafe in the city center, neutral territory. She looked tense when she saw me, sitting up straight, clutching the menu so tightly that her knuckles turned white. "You've changed," she said instead of greeting me. "Your hair, your clothes, You look different. Because I'm different, I replied simply. The conversation was awkward at first. We talked about the weather, work, and trivia. But then I decided to address the real issue. Kelsey, I want to start from scratch. But to do that, we need to have an honest conversation. She sighed and put down her fork. Okay, talk to me. All my life I lived in your shadow. You were smart, brave, confident. Everything I wasn't. My parents compared us, and I always lost. I don't blame you for that, but I need to know. Did you realize what was happening? Kelsey was silent for a long time, looking out the window. When she finally spoke, her voice sounded quieter and softer than I had ever heard it. Yes, I understood. And I liked to be the best. It was so selfish, but I was always the good daughter, the smart daughter, and you were the kind, gentle one. My parents treated me differently. They expected more. They pressured me. I envied you, Mary. Jealous? Of me? I couldn't believe it. Yes, because you could be yourself. You were allowed to make mistakes, to be weak. I wasn't. I had to be perfect. Always. We talked for hours. Frankly, sometimes painfully, but honestly. For the first time in our lives, we saw each other not through the filter of parental expectations, but as we really were, two women with our own fears, dreams, and pains. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you with my parents, Kelsey said as we left. And for that video, what I said, I didn't realize how cruel it was. Thank you, I replied, feeling really connected to my sister for the first time. Maybe we can start again? Not as competitors, but as sisters? The next meeting was with my father. We met in his office, his territory, his rules. He hadn't changed, the same stern look, the same straight posture, the same controlling tone. I hope you've finally grown out of this stupidity, he said instead of greeting me. I realized that of all my loved ones, he was the one who was least capable of changing. All his life, he has been a person who controls everything and everyone. Letting go of control over his daughter would mean admitting that his methods were wrong, and he was not ready for that. Dad, I didn't come here to go back to my old life, I said calmly. I want to build a new relationship with you. But for that, you'll have to accept that I decide how to live my life. You've always been too emotional, he said. You need someone to guide you. We talked, or rather, tried to talk, for almost an hour. But he didn't hear me, didn't want to hear me. For him, there was only one truth, his. I love you, Dad, I said in parting, but I can't let you control my life again. When you're ready to accept me for who I am, I'll be here. He didn't say anything, just nodded, sternly, reservedly, as always. The meeting with my mom was the most emotional. We met in the park where I used to walk as a child. She looked older, tired, but as soon as she saw me, she rushed to hug me. My girl, she whispered, I missed you so much. Me too, Mom, I replied, feeling my childhood feelings wash over me. But this time, I didn't let them get the better of me. We walked along the park's alleys for a long time, talking about everything, her life, my life, the past, the future. She was trying to understand, recognizing her mistakes, although sometimes she fell back on old patterns. You'd look better with longer hair, or why haven't you met a good guy yet? Mom, I stopped her after another such comment. I understand that you want the best for me, but you have to accept that I define best for me, not you. She sighed, but nodded. It's hard to let go of the habit of control. But I'm going to try, honey. For your sake, I'll try. The hardest part was meeting Noah. He suggested we meet at the restaurant where we celebrated our first anniversary, a romantic place with dim lights and candles. Typical Noah, trying to create an atmosphere that would make me come back. You look great, he said, giving me an appraising look. Portland looks good on you. Thank you, I replied, feeling strangely distant. This man had once been the center of my world. Now he seemed almost like a stranger. I've been thinking a lot, he continued, leaning closer. And I realize that we were both wrong. I'm ready to try again, Mary. But this time, differently. Noah? I interrupted him gently. I'm not going back to you. But we were together for 5 years. That means something. Yes, it does. It means that for 5 years I lived someone else's life. I wasn't myself for 5 years. That's nonsense. You're just going through a crisis. No, Noah. For the first time in a long time, I'm not in crisis. I've found myself. He tried to convince me, gently at first, then angrily, then again pleadingly. But I saw things I hadn't noticed before. How he was trying to manipulate my emotions. How he was looking for weaknesses. How he was sure he knew better than I did what I wanted. I wish you happiness, I said, standing up. But we're not right for each other. We never have been. After these meetings, I made the most important decision of all. I found a small house in the suburbs of my hometown, not far from Kelsey. Not too close for my family to take control again, but close enough to build new relationships with those who were willing to accept the new me. I called Parker with the news, afraid of his reaction. Are you coming home? He sounded concerned. Not exactly. I found a place close to my family, but it's going to be my place. And I was wondering, would you like to come visit me sometimes? Or I could come to you? To try to, I don't know, be together, but not in a hurry. A pause, and then his warm laugh. I thought you'd never ask. Chance and I would love to visit you. And you us. It was not a fairy tale with a perfect ending. My relationship with my father remained strained. My mother still sometimes forgot herself and tried to control my life. Kelsey and I were still learning to be real sisters, not rivals. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I was going my own way. I didn't come back as the Meredith who ran away a year ago, scared, insecure, lost. I came back as a woman who knows her value, a woman who can love her family without sacrificing herself. Parker came to help me move. We were unpacking boxes in my new home when I found an old photo of me, my mom, my dad, and Kelsey at a picnic, all smiling, happy. Do you have any regrets? Parker asked, looking at the photo. No, I answered after a pause. I have no regrets. I am grateful for the past. It made me who I am. But I will no longer let it determine my future. I put the photo on the shelf, not hiding it, but not in the most visible place either. A part of my life, but not the center. That evening, I sat on the porch of my new home, watching the sunset. Parker brought me a cup of tea and sat down next to me. Chance settled down at our feet. How do you feel? He asked. Free, I answered. For the first time in my life, I feel really free. I knew there were still many challenges ahead. I knew that sometimes my family would try to drag me back into old patterns. I knew that sometimes I would want to return to the comfort of familiar roles. But I also knew that I now had the power to choose. Every day, every moment. The power to be myself. The power to love my family without losing myself. The power to forgive without forgetting. The power to follow my own path, even if it is not approved by others. And this power was the most valuable gift I have ever received. A gift I gave myself.